On a misty morning, Marcus was out fishing when he spotted something weird in the water. It was a ship that locals had been talking about for years, one that had vanished 20 years back and was never seen again. Marcus felt both frightened and interested as he moved closer to take a look. When he peered into the old ship, his face turned completely pale from what he saw. "This isn't possible," Marcus told himself at first, not wanting to accept that the vessel had suddenly reappeared after so many years. But as he slowly approached it, he realized he was mistaken. The nearer he got to the vessel, the more he felt he had to climb aboard. He couldn't just walk away without looking inside. Marcus considered calling the cops, but he knew they would find out where the vessel was and tell him to keep away from it. He really didn't want that to happen. Later on, he would regret not choosing differently. "I discovered it, so I deserve to be the first one to see what's in there," Marcus said out loud to himself. He was already imagining the news headline, "Local fisherman finds incredible discovery," and how this would boost his fishing work. He had no idea what was waiting for him inside that vessel. Marcus had tons of questions going through his mind. What had occurred to this vessel 20 years back? Why couldn't anybody locate it until now? He wondered if he would discover any clues, but just the idea of checking out a missing vessel was thrilling enough. He searched for the right spot to secure his boat, and after sailing nearly around the entire vessel, he finally spotted a ladder. This was his opportunity. He looked up and felt somewhat frightened by how enormous the vessel was, but he wasn't going to let being scared stop him. Marcus breathed deeply and pulled himself up to the next rung of the ladder. He slowly climbed up, still unaware of the horrible thing he was going to discover inside. He had listened to so many terrible stories about what might have occurred to the vessel and its people. He let out a long sigh as he finally climbed over the side of the vessel and stepped onto the deck. Where should he start looking? He wandered around a little and tried to open the first door he found. He held his breath as he pushed the handle, but the door stayed shut. It was locked. Marcus thought this was weird, but it didn't bother him too much. The vessel was enormous, and he was really eager to check it out. Soon, though, his eagerness would change into terror. Marcus went to the next door and grinned when this one opened. He stepped inside and moved his hand across the wall, searching for a light switch. He flipped the switch many times, but nothing occurred. "Well, it would have been weird if it really worked, I suppose," he said quietly as he looked around the area he was now in. Marcus examined the dark room, his eyes taking in the normal things. Chairs, tables, and boxes. Everything appeared like it hadn't been affected by time, but it was oddly regular. It was just a room filled with old furniture and forgotten stuff. When he figured out the room was just for keeping things, he felt let down. The puzzle of the long-missing vessel seemed to be getting less exciting with each boring find. Marcus sighed, shut his eyes for a second, then decided to exit the room. Since there was nothing exciting here, he left to keep checking out other areas of the vessel. His footsteps made sounds through the empty hallways as he went from room to room, opening doors and looking inside. Each one revealed more regular scenes. Nothing so far gave any hints about the vessel's puzzling past. Marcus opened many more doors on this level, and each one revealed nothing more than the last. He didn't realize that the exciting part was still coming, hidden away from where he was searching. While examining another boring room, Marcus was surprised by a loud metal grinding sound from outside. It interrupted the silence suddenly, making him jump. His heart began beating fast, as he wondered if there might be someone else on the vessel with him. He grabbed the door handle tightly, his other hand formed into a fist at his side. Marcus breathed deeply, preparing himself to face whatever was outside that had broken the spooky quiet of the vessel. Moving carefully, Marcus headed toward the door, looking outside, expecting to meet whoever or whatever made the sound. His footsteps echoed on the metal floors as he made his way up to the first floor where the guest rooms were. Feeling worried, Marcus went up to the first floor where the guest rooms were. He paused, took a breath, and continued, his interest pushing him deeper into the forgotten lives of the people who had been on the vessel. When he opened a room door, Marcus took a sharp breath at what he saw, the first real proof that people had once lived here. The room appeared like it had been abandoned quickly. A coffee cup on a small table, a book lying open face down. Someone was definitely here, he whispered to himself, touching the cup carefully. As he walked through the hallways, his mind was filled with questions about why they had disappeared so fast. What could make an entire vessel's crew leave like this? He wondered what could have caused such a quick exit. When Marcus entered a room on the next floor, he saw something that made all the color leave his face. The room was different from the others, its contents disturbingly well kept. Personal items were spread around as if their owners might return at any moment. Marcus's eyes grew wide with shock, his breath getting stuck in his throat. For a moment he stood still, hand pressed over his mouth to keep himself from yelling, his heart beating hard. "Oh my God, what is this place?" he said quietly, moving back toward the door. He rushed onto the deck breathing heavily, planning to leave immediately, but then he saw that his boat was no longer there. The rope he had tied was hanging loose on the dock. The end appeared like it had been sliced. Fear took over as he understood what this meant. Someone else must be on the vessel with him. "No, no, no, this can't be real," Marcus yelled, looking around wildly. "Hello? Is someone there?" he called out, his voice shaking with fear. Scared and alone, he wished he had never decided to explore the vessel. Now, stuck with no clear way to get away, he stepped back from the edge, his mind racing with fear. Every noise could be dangerous, every shadow a place for this unknown person to hide. "Help me! Someone help me!" he shouted into the fog, but only silence answered back. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. Marcus really wanted to get away from the ship, so he started looking for ways to talk to someone or find another escape route. He ran through the hallways, searching for anything that might be a radio room or lifeboats. Every empty room he walked past felt like it was making fun of him with how quiet it was. He kept trying and went up to the higher deck, thinking maybe the captain's room would have a radio that worked. The captain's room was his best chance to contact someone, but then he noticed a door that had been locked earlier. Now, strangely, it was open just a little bit. Marcus paused, his hand almost touching the door handle, feeling curious even though something felt wrong in his gut. He pushed it open carefully, peering into the dark room inside. The stale smell of old papers and rusted metal drifted out. As Marcus looked in, ready to walk away, something sudden happened that quickly caught him in this strange room. The door banged shut loudly, the noise bouncing around eerily in the tight space. He ran to the door, yanking on the handle, but it was stuck tight. Marcus's heart started beating fast as he understood how bad his situation had become. Now, stuck inside with no clear way to get out, fear crept up his back and he slowly moved away from the door. "Help! Someone please help me!" he shouted, but his voice just hit the metal walls and came back to him like it was laughing at his panicked screams. Accepting what had happened, Marcus tried to stay calm and look for another exit. He realized he was stuck in the laundry room, and his eyes frantically searched for a way out until he saw another door. A small bit of hope in this awful mess. This door was tiny, almost completely hidden behind a big, rusty washing machine. He reached for the handle, his hands trembling with the chance of getting free. Marcus walked up to the door, hoping desperately it would open. He slowly turned the handle, not breathing as he waited. The door made a creaking sound as it opened, showing a tight passageway dimly lit by a flickering old light bulb. He felt so relieved as the door led to a service hallway, a route that might take him to safety. "Thank God," Marcus whispered as he stepped into the narrow corridor. The tight, dimly lit hallway went on ahead of him, with pipes and cables running along the walls. Even though it looked gloomy, it offered a way out. And Marcus didn't wait around. He started walking down the corridor, his footsteps making echoing sounds on the metal floor. Not caring how scary the empty hallway was, Marcus ran, pushed by his need to escape and forget the horrible thing he had seen. His breathing came in quick, sharp gasps as he rushed past closed doors and old service carts. Every shadow seemed to move, making his heart beat even harder, but he didn't stop. The picture of what he thought was a dead person in the guest room kept bothering him, wiping out any excitement for adventure and replacing it with a need to stay alive. As he ran, the terrible image kept playing in his head over and over, making him move even faster. His only goal now was finding a way off this ship. His mind filled with fear and panic, Marcus looked at every exit sign, every opening that might lead to the upper levels or lifeboats. He couldn't get rid of the feeling that someone was watching him, maybe even hunting him. Worn out and feeling hopeless, Marcus fell down, letting himself feel defeated for a moment. Sure that his adventure had become a nightmare, he slid down against a cold metal wall, putting his head in his hands and breathing hard as he tried to catch his breath. Just when he was about to give up hope, a sudden sound of a door opening and seeing a person's shape in the sunlight brought Marcus back to reality. He jerked up straight, his eyes wide as he saw the outline of a man in the bright light. Marcus's heart raced and he scrambled to stand up. Marcus got ready for the worst and yelled, "No, please don't kill me, I won't say anything to anyone," thinking the person was going to hurt him. His voice echoed through the corridor, a desperate cry full of terror. He crouched down, putting his arms up to protect himself, eyes shut tight. Marcus's fear changed to amazement, as the person, who he thought had been lying dead and naked in the room, turned out to be completely alive. The man laughed, a deep and warm sound that filled the corridor as he stepped into the light, fully clothed and totally harmless. "Hey there, buddy. I'm not going to hurt you," the man said with a friendly smile. "I'm Nathan. You just scared me when I heard all that screaming." Relief and confusion hit Marcus as the person introduced himself, destroying Marcus's worst fears with a simple explanation. He had just been sleeping. "You were napping?" Marcus asked, his voice shaking with disbelief. "That's exactly right," Nathan answered with a chuckle. "I guess I must have looked pretty frightening lying there. Sorry about scaring you like that." Marcus's legs almost gave out with relief as all the tension left his body. How ridiculous the whole situation was briefly overwhelmed him, and he let out a shaky laugh. Nathan told the ship's story. A storm had made them lost and cut off from everyone, unable to go back. As he explained the events that led to everyone leaving the ship, Marcus listened closely, his fear now replaced by curiosity. Laughter took the place of fear as the confusion was sorted out, and Marcus paid close attention to the story of surviving and keeping secrets. Nathan, smiling, started telling about the days that became years. He pointed around the ship as he talked, each area holding part of their story. "So, what actually happened here?" Marcus asked, still trying to make sense of it all. Nathan explained that the ship had gotten lost in a storm and its communication equipment had stopped working. Unable to call for rescue, the passengers and crew had to make an important choice. The waves were huge, like skyscrapers, Nathan said, leaning against a railing, his eyes looking far away as he described the massive waves and screaming winds that had decided their fate. We thought we were all going to die out there. The passengers had chosen to live by themselves since they had plenty of food on the ship, and they weren't ready to go back home yet. Marcus's eyes widened in surprise, his mind having trouble imagining choosing that kind of life. "You'd decided to stay lost?" Marcus asked in shock. "I know it sounds insane," Nathan replied, "but some of us weren't ready to return to our regular lives. This place became our safe haven." Nathan took him around the ship, showing storage rooms still filled with supplies, their long-lasting nature proving how determined the group was to stay disconnected from the world. As some passengers chose to leave the ship, they still promised to keep their secret. Nathan's voice became quiet as he talked about friends leaving one after another, each one leaving an empty spot behind, but they had all kept their word. "And now it's only you?" Marcus asked. "It was only me," Nathan corrected. "Until you came along. I've been the last person left on the ship, and now it's time for me to go too." He looked at the ocean through a small window, his face showing both relief and sadness. "It's time to close this chapter," he said, turning to Marcus. His willingness to share their story meant the end of their isolation and the start of something new. Nathan's openness to share their story meant the end of being cut off from the world. Together, they got the ship ready for one final trip, a return to the world they had left behind. Nathan got Marcus's boat back, and together they headed for the shore, feeling good about completing something important. "Your boat's been floating close by this whole time," Nathan explained as they got ready to leave. "I tied it up safely when I saw you come aboard." They went back to shore together after Nathan returned Marcus's boat. Their stories soon caught the imagination and interest of people everywhere. As they stepped onto solid ground, the fresh ocean breeze wasn't a reminder of being alone anymore, but of being free. They told their story to everyone who would listen, the tale spreading quickly, starting conversations and curiosity everywhere. The story of survival and secrets on the ship became famous, putting Marcus and Nathan into unexpected celebrity status. News reporters and curious people gathered, listening carefully to every word of their amazing experience. As their faces showed up in newspapers and on TV, they became symbols of strength and adventure. Their lives changed forever. The mysterious ship, once just a legend, now stood as proof of human toughness and the strength of working together. As it was docked for the final time, people from everywhere came to see the vessel that had been home to an incredible story of survival. As Marcus and Nathan handled their new fame, they thought about the adventure that had brought them together. Forever linked by what they had shared, they often found themselves telling the story of their days on the ship, each memory helping to build their friendship. "Who would have thought a regular morning of fishing would lead to all this?" Marcus said, shaking his head in amazement. "Life has a strange way of surprising us," Nathan replied with a smile. Together, they looked ahead to whatever life might bring next, knowing they had a story worth sharing and a friendship that could survive even the weirdest challenges. What did you think of this story? Did it keep you engaged? If you had been in Marcus's shoes, how would you have reacted? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Enjoyed the story? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated. Often, our most incredible discoveries come from following curiosity. Just be prepared for the surprises along the way. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video. Wishing you an amazing day.